The LGBT is a community that supports all lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgenders, and their allies. Their goal is to unite people of all sexual orientations together without judgment. Certain TV shows and media personalities exemplify the effort put forth to promote equal rights. LGBT characters are now, more than ever, prominent on popular TV shows such as Empire and Glee. This makes the LGBT presence in media at an all-time high. There are many advertisements including the LGBT community, as well as an increasing number of openly LGBT celebrities that are fearlessly involved, but it was not always this way.
Although our community today is breaking grounds in diversity, the early LGBT community was not well represented nor respected. To understand the immense leaps in progress that they have experienced, one must first brush upon the event that sparked it all, which brings us to the Stonewall Riots of 1969. The Stonewall Riots were a series of spontaneous riots that occurred at the Stonewall Inn, a predominantly gay scene of the 60s. It was June 28, 1969 in Greenwich Village, where an unwarranted police check paired with harassment to the gay community had finally reached a head. The Stonewall Inn broke out in chaos that night. New York City was practically bursting at the seams with riots forming all throughout the village. The LGBT community would no longer be taken for granted. What this spectacle provided for all LGBTs now as alike was a sense of confidence, rather a much-needed push to inspire widespread discontentment with the inequality in the United States. These riots pertain to the importance of the LGBT community in media because, for the first time in history, they were being brought to the positive light in papers around the country, and the story was often presented in favor of the LGBT movement. If it weren't for the media presence on their side, this movement possibly would not have been successful as it was, and our current media would most definitely not be as gender or sexually inclusive as it is. Even so, there are still great strides to be made in the interrogation of LGBT personas in our society's media.
In terms of networks holding LGBT characters in the current television season, ABC was second best with 4.5% LGBT castings, while NBC went from the worst of the 5 broadcast networks last year to third this year, increasing from 1 to 3.8% of regular LGBT characters. CBS remained in fourth with 3.2%. Lastly, the CW went from 3 to 0%, having no LGBT regular characters this season, according to GLAAD TV studies. Of both regular and recurring LGBT on broadcast networks in the 2014-2015 season, lesbian characters had decreased 2% from last year, and bisexual characters had decreased by 4%. There's a quote from the article "The Coast is Queer," saying, "How about we call a man wearing a pink top gay? When we see him lifting his pinky finger as he holds the glass to drink, let him be called effeminate. Let's take 2 girls, one who dresses without style and another girl, and let's call them lesbians. How about we label each person just because they look or dress a particular way?" Seeing this, we can hypothesize that superficialities found in media rule our perspectives and opinions, forcing judgment on everything we see. In turn, when LGBT characters are presented, it is more difficult, often than not, a stereotypical representation. Networks, writers, and big media conglomerates put forth content this way to ensure a constant audience, in fear of scaring away ratings upon demonstrating gay or lesbians as normality. Character representation in a stereotypical way can be found in outdated shows such as a few memorable episodes from the 1980s Golden Girls, the renowned 1990s show Will and Grace, and even more modern movies like I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry or the ridiculous comedy Bruno. In recent years, though, weeding through the many controversial movies and television series fused with gay content, it is likely that a slight nudge in the positive direction has been initiated. LGBT characters are becoming increasingly prominent on television series today, such as Orange is the New Black, Transparent, Modern Family, Glee, and more literally, the hit talk show starring Ellen DeGeneres. Even serious and highly respected shows like Scandal incorporate the gay characteristics into a normal setting effortlessly, as they truly are in real life. Shonda Rhimes is one of the leading writers of today that is responsible for such influential LGBT characters in her shows, proudly dismissing stereotypes and negativity towards the community, all while creating simultaneously ingenious series. That being said, it would be correct to assume that our society is becoming slowly, but surely, more widely accepting of the community, now humanizing LGBT characters and even idolizing some. LGBT representation has been increasing rapidly over the last few years to increase awareness for people who have these sexual preferences, as well as to promote equality. Also, GLAAD classified ABC Family, MTV, and HBO as excellent. GLAAD reports that in the 2014-2015 cable TV season, LGBT representation has improved by 34%. That is an increasing percentage from previous years. The LGBT community keeps pushing for equality in the matter of sexual orientation. Because the media is so influential in our lives, this topic is one that is presently growing each and every day, whether we know it or not. If this trend continues, the future is very bright for LGBT representation on TV.